Hello, everyone. My name is Professor Michael Cruz, and I want to welcome everybody to week one of your Applied Ethics PHI 1600 course for this summer 6 week term. I'm really looking forward to meeting you guys and working with you guys over the next month and a half. It's going to be a very, very fast paced course. I want to go ahead and get that out of the gate right now. If you've been in a class before, think about it as what you would normally do in 16 weeks. We have 6 weeks to do. Now, I'm not trying to scare you off or anything like that, but what I am trying to get pressed upon you is that you have to start day one, and every day you got to be looking at something for this course to be successful in a 6 week modality, because essentially we're going to have a lot of stuff to do every week. Now, the good news is if you stay focused and get through it, you can do anything for 6 weeks, no matter how tough. And then the course will be done and over with, and you'll have your credits. But you do have to keep a pace in this class. So I wanted to make this video to kind of show you through week one. I'll do these videos weekly to help you guys out. I think it adds a bit of a personal touch to the course. They're not going to be edited because I don't want to spend a ton of time going back and doing these. They're just going to be like an informal explanation of the course, the materials, anything I think you need to know for that week. I would recommend in the Begin Here module, there's a course tour where I talk about all the resources available in the course. So you're definitely going to want to check that out. But welcome to your ethics course. I'm happy to have you here. And I want to show you basically what we've got going on in week one. So you can watch this video as many times as you need when you're doing the work. And if you have any questions, then you can get back to me. Now, a lot of this stuff isn't visible for you guys right now. It's going to go visible in midnight tonight, which is about an hour from when I'm filming this. But at midnight on the 16th, everything goes live, and you'll see the things that you can't see right now. Some of the assignments are delayed, so you don't have access to them because I want them to open at a certain time. Because even though this is online, this isn't a self-paced course. This isn't independent learning. Obviously, you can do whatever you want, and you can work ahead on the quizzes and stuff. I do not recommend working ahead on the assignments. I would prefer if you don't do that, because you're gonna outpace my feedback. You're gonna outpace the instruction, and then it might affect your assignments. So stay with us week to week. There's plenty enough to do anyways, and work the course as it's laid out, because that's the intent of the design for this thing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to share my screen so we can take a look and see what we're doing in week one. So first and foremost, when you get in the course, you want to go, first thing you want to place, this is where essentially I clicked modules, right? This is going to be in the teacher view. Yours is going to be slightly different. From now on, I'll do student views. But again, if I put student view, it's not going to show all the things because they're not all open yet. But you want to go to your ethics e-textbook access, your first day access. You definitely want to set up that access first. You all have access to the course textbook on the first day of class unless you opted out. You would know if you opt out because it's like a 4-page document you have to fill out saying you're not buying the book, but you need the book anyways. So I don't think I've ever had anybody opt out. So presumably you all have it. Okay, so you follow the instructions within these links to get yourself set up for the book. Then you want to go to this module 0.05, begin here. The way the course is laid out is we have 6 weeks. There's 6 modules. There's 1 module for each week. But in this week, we have a couple extra setup stuff. So you're going to go through the begin here model. Just look at the learning objectives and how to be successful, tips on note taking and textbook reading. Because the way it's going to work is your quizzes are going to be in your ebook, and I'll show you one of those in a minute. And so with your quiz, you're going to read the chapter, take notes, then you go take your quiz. The quiz is due at the beginning of the week because the idea is I want you looking at that information and that material before you start your assignment. If it's at the end of the week, people do the assignment first and then go to the quiz, and they're confused on the assignment because they're ordering it by point value, which makes sense, but they're not getting it in the correct order, the intended order for having the information and then doing the assignment. So this is where we have the video for the course tour. I would definitely check that out. So you click on that, and it's a video of me showing you around the class and being more specific on the setup. But the two things you need to do first, you need to do the pre-survey of ethical issues. You click this link, you do a quick 10-minute survey, you pick who the professor is, and then you answer questions about ethical decision making. You'll be taking this survey again at the end of the semester. And what it does is it measures kind of like your growth in ethical decision making. I don't see the answers to this. The answers themselves aren't graded. You get the 20 points for completing it. When you complete it, you'll take a screenshot of the thing that said you've completed it, and you upload that screenshot to this assignment here, and then I'll give you the 20 points. If you forget to do that screenshot, if you go back and you try to take the quiz again, it'll say in like red letters that like a submission for the student's already been submitted or whatever. Screenshot that and then put it in. That way I'll know that you've taken it, because it only allows you to take it once. Once you've done that, that's the first thing you're supposed to do in the class. Then you're going to move on to the course scavenger hunt quiz. And this is a quiz that's basically 20 questions about the class. It should be easy. The idea is everybody should get 20 points. You only get one attempt, because when you do unlimited attempts, people don't actually learn the stuff, they learn the answers. What it is, it's designed to like make you interact with certain parts of the course that I want you to look at, and then you find the answer and you put the answer in the quiz. So what I recommend doing, just open the quiz in one tab and open the class in another tab and go back and forth. So it'll say like in the simple syllabus under this section, what does it say? You go find the answer and you do it. The idea is I'm giving you 20 points to explore the class a little bit and interact with some of the different resources, so that way you know what they are in the beginning. So that's a quick, easy 40 points to start the class. You'll see when I talk about in my other video, the class is out of 1,000 points. So 900's an A, 800's a B, 700's a C. So everything you're doing is pushing up towards that point value that you want to get for your class. We have 100 points extra credit. So that's a whole grade level of extra credit. And so you have that available to you as well to give you that boost to get to where you want to be. My late work policies, extension policies, all that kind of stuff, it's explained in the syllabus, and I won't explain it here because I want you to read it in the syllabus, and then I'll maybe recap in next week's video, okay? So when you've done these two, then you go on to a module 1, which is the ethics environment. And you'll see that I have it kind of outlined like this in a way where it's kind of cascading. That's because I think the logical order that follows is like this, right? Obviously, you can do the assignments in whatever order you want. But I think the way that I have it laid out is the best way for you doing it, like taking the materials at the appropriate pace. And so that's available for you. So you'll see it tells you about Martin Luther King and unjust laws. This is our first starting point. It's a good conversation about the difference between ethics and legality. Then what you'll do is you go to the next one, and it's the chapter 1 Smart Book quiz. Now, what's really cool is this is already integrated into the course. So when you hit launch assignment, it's going to put you into the quiz in the McGraw-Hill Connect, okay? Mine looks a little bit different, obviously, because, I'm the professor mode, but yours will look like this. So when you get in here, it tells you it's a pretty cool, intuitive program. It tells you what day it's due. It tells you about how long it's estimated to take. This goes off of user submissions and how many concepts you're going to get tested on. Now, you have two options here. You can start reading before you take the quiz, which I highly recommend that you read and take notes. And when you start reading there, it takes you to the chapter, or you can start the questions. It tells you about tips for how the assignment's laid out, and then you jump in and you start answering the questions. Now, what's really cool about this is if you're stuck on the question, you can click read about the concepts, and it'll show you the chunk in the chapter where that comes from. Now, I want you to be careful, though, because some people will use that as an excuse not to read the chapter. And you got to remember, the quiz is set up by McGraw-Hill. This is the questions that they thought were relevant. Doesn't mean that's everything you need to know for your assignments in the course. So if your only exposure to chapter 1 are these 15 little paragraphs throughout, you're going to miss a lot of stuff. It's there to help you, but don't make it your crutch as opposed to reading the chapter, okay? And so, once you finish the quiz, you submit it, and you'll get your points. Now, the quizzes are 20 points, and it's an all or nothing kind of thing. So you do it, you get 20 points. You don't do it, you get 0. If you close out early, you may not get the points. It's designed to be completed, and it's designed that when you get a wrong answer, it's going to give you another question similar on that concept until you get it right. So take your time and don't rush through it and just think, oh, I'll just click 15 things and gamble on getting a couple points. It's not going to work that way. It's just going to keep giving you new questions. So take your time and do it right, okay? And so, again, if you need to, you can get into the textbook from there as well. So if you aren't ready, you start reading, and it takes you to, the textbook, right? And you go, okay? So if you have any questions about the quiz, just let me know, but make sure you get that done, and then you'll move on to the assignment. Now, this week's assignment is a discussion post, but you'll see here, it's a video post. I want us to do a video post that has an introduction and some discussion about MLK and unjust laws. The reason why I want a video post is twofold. One, your final assignment is going to be an argument that you make, a 3-minute argument on an ethical topic that you'll select by the end of week 1. And we'll talk more about that as we go through the semester, but I want to get that in your minds now because 6 weeks is fast. And that's going to be a video argument, because what I tell students is, like, my big goal for you, by the time you're done with this 6 weeks class, I would like you to be able to make a strong ethical argument that would be difficult for somebody to reasonably reject. I want you to be able to take a position on something, be able to give a few strong points, argue it from logic, from reason, from facts, and not from feelings and emotions and mistruths and fallacies. Feelings and emotions are valid and they belong in a lot of spaces, but not in ethics, because we want to say what's right, what's wrong, what's fair, what's good, what's bad. Not like, oh, because we feel this way. We want to say because the facts say this, or because logic says this, or the theory says this. So this is what I'm hoping you'll take from the class. And so therefore I gear a lot of things in the class towards that goal and that objective, okay? So that'll get you practice. This assignment will get you practice with the videoing aspect of it and posting to the discussion board. So what you're going to do is in pages 15 and 16 of chapter 1 is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter from Birmingham jail, okay? I want you to read that. It's short, but it's pretty powerful. Then in a 2 to 3 minute video, try not to go too long, but make sure you hit that minimum 2 minutes. You're going to post a reply to this discussion board in that video form. And you're going to do that by responding to these 2 prompts down here. And essentially, you're going to introduce yourself to the class and then give a summary of what you think Dr. King was trying to tell us. What's important is that you see this part here in purple. You're not allowed to use any generative AI programs to complete any assignments in this course. That includes Grammarly Optimized and Microsoft Copilot, things like that. If you have those programs installed, turn them off. There's a couple reasons. First and foremost, we use CopyLeaks. It's pretty intuitive. It searches for AI-generated content. It could be anything like ChatGPT or Copilot. The idea is some of these programs are AI-generated, and they'll access the content, and they'll change the content of your paper. And so not only is that outsource the intellectual labor of your assignment, because the writing needs to be yours, right? So like when you use something that fixes the wordage, fixes the grammar, as people always tell me, it's not. It's actually rewriting the sentence. That would be no different if your friend rewrote the paper for you. You can't do that. The idea in college is you need to learn how to write and grow as a writer, and you will do that over, the next 4 years. I'm not going to crush you on grammar and mechanics. I'm going to keep an eye on it. There'll be some points associated with it. But at the end of the day, if it's readable, if I understand what you're saying, I'm not going to destroy you, but you need to be the one doing the writing. Also, it's going to throw off the copy leaks report because that will come up as generative AI. And then you're going to have to prove to me that you didn't use ChatGPT and that it was this thing and and all that. So for now, I know that AI is probably the future, but in the current, I teach critical thinking. It's hard for me to do that with AI programs in their current form and students' current understanding of how to use it. So we are not using them. Turn them off, even if that means preparing what you're going to say for this video, okay? So what you're going to do, read through all this thoroughly, read through the instructions a couple of times. I always recommend 3 times. Once to see what you're supposed to do, twice to take it all in, 3 times to pick up any little details. But you're going to answer 2 things. First, you're going to introduce yourself to the class. Just the basic stuff. What's your name, your preferred name? Where are you from? How long have you been at SBC? What is your major or area of academic interest if you've not declared a major yet? And then an interesting thing about yourself, some sort of hobby, some sort of fun fact. Find something. Don't say, oh, nothing interesting. Everybody's got something cool about them. And then you're going to explain in your own words a summary of Dr. King's views on just laws. And I want you to give me a couple examples of what he says from the letters, because there's multiple things about each, probably about 4 or 5 things for each. And if you pick a couple, that shows that you fully understood what's going on. And I want you to give me a summary of Dr. King's views on unjust laws. Give a couple examples. Now, you see in the instructions, I want you to paraphrase. I don't want you to read direct quotes to me. I don't want you to be like, Dr. King states, blah, 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 blah. I want you to tell me like we're friends, we're having a coffee, and this conversation comes up and you're explaining it to me. Obviously, be academic with it. We don't want to use a lot of slang. We don't want to sound too conversational. Make it an academic conversation, okay? And then lastly, what does all this mean to you in the terms of your personal universe? So you're going to tell me what he thinks about just laws, tell me what he thinks about unjust laws, and then you're going to tell me like what that means to you in your life kind of thing. And I don't want to put too much of a limitation on that by telling you exactly what to do, because I want to see your interpretation of that, okay? Then you're going to post that reply to the board in the video form. One thing is I've kind of got the instructions as a video here, and there's some things about how to use Panopto that's built in the course. Currently, I don't have the ability to put student access to recordings on there, so I'm going to call Monday morning to tech support to get that figured out. However, there are a lot of different ways that you can do this. You can film it on your phone and upload it that way. You could, like what I'm currently doing right now is I'm actually filming through Zoom, and then I'll transfer it to YouTube and make a YouTube link. And both of those programs, you could do that for free. So there's a lot of programs out there that you can record on and you can upload it. This is kind of easy because it's built right in the discussion board. I just have to figure out how to give you guys permissions to do that. So I'll let you know what I hear when I hear it. But one way or another, find a way to put a video in there, and you can reach out for help and guidance on that if you need it. So you'll see that there's a timeline here, right? So by Friday of the first week, you're going to put your video up. By Saturday, and unfortunately, we have to have a little bit of a compressed timeline, just because it's the first week. We lose a day by starting on Monday, and everything kind of happens quick. By Saturday, you'll go on and you'll respond to 2 classmates, their posts in 50-word minimum. What I want you to do is address both parts, say something about their introduction, and say something about what they say about Dr. King's views. And I want you to be constructive. I want you to be insightful. I want you to be challenging if you want to, in a professional way, academic way. But I don't want you to just go on there like, oh, wow, what an extremely great blah, 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 blah. This is one of the things that you can always tell who's using ChatGPT is it's like, wow, classmate, extremely good job, thoroughly explaining the depth and the fortitude of blah, blah, blah. Like, nobody talks like that. Just go on there and type 50 words about their thing, addressing both issues to show that you watch their video, you pay attention to it, and you have some commentary for them. The way the grading works, you get 30 points, it's 50 points overall. So 30 points will be for the initial post for that 2 to 3 minutes. 10 points will be for your 2 replies to your classmates, 50 words each. That's 5 points for each one. And then by Sunday, you have to respond to the people who replied to you. So that's 10 points for those responses. This is actually what makes it a conversation. You put up a post, people reply, you reply back to them. Okay. What you want to do, though, and I've told you, I'm warning you here in this, I want you to spread it around, because what happens is there's like 2 people who usually post first and they comment to each other and then they never come back to the board. And then people who go on last minute and they're like, okay, I've got 15 minutes to do my reply post. They go on. And so the last 2, 3 people who posted get all the responses, and then everybody in the middle gets nothing. I want you to spread it around. There's a lot of you in this class. There's upwards of 60 of you in this class. There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to spread around. Okay, so if you're like the 3rd person posting and there's people without a reply, I'm going to deduct some of your points off from you, because then you're just jumping in, probably reiterating what's already been said and getting your points. I want you to seek out somebody that hasn't had the opportunity to get a reply, and then that way they reply to them. Because otherwise, if they have no replies to give, I'm going to have to give them 10 free points. And, I want them to earn those points, okay? And I'm sure you do too, okay? So spread the love, okay? So hopefully we'll get this set up. Otherwise, find some source to get a video in there. This isn't until Friday, so we have a day or 2 to try to figure it out. You don't have to rush to do this right now. You have other things that are due before it, so focus on those things, and I'll try to get this sorted with tech support. Then we go into a little bit about moral development, and so you'll read Chapter 2 and take the Chapter 2 Smart Book quiz. So you have 2 quizzes this week. Most quizzes you're going to have weeks, you're going to have 3 quizzes. We have to get 14 quizzes in a 6 weeks period. And the way I've done that is, we basically have our introduction to ethics and moral development, and then we go into critical thinking, and then we do consequential ethical theories, non-consequential ethical theories, ethics in the workplace to get to the final. We're also supposed to cover some social issues. So to do that in a fast pace, I've worked the social issue chapters in throughout your week. So like one week you might be doing like something about theories, and then there's like a random environmental, ethics or human rights or something like that in there. That's just us catching up on the social issues, okay? So again, you'll take the quiz. You have that there. And then the last thing you're going to do is you're going to submit your topic for your final argument topic selection. So basically in your final argument, we'll talk a little bit more about this, but to give you a general idea, you're going to pick one of these 9 topics. There's a prompt there that's provided for you. You're going to answer that prompt as whether or not you believe it's ethical or unethical, and you're going to give 3 reasons why. There's a whole structure laid out for you in the final exam module. If you want to go take a look at that, don't go too crazy and sweat it too much and try to like cook your brain on like figuring it all out. We'll talk about that throughout we go, but like you'll at least see what you do. So like if you're doing the animal testing one, is it ethical to use animals for the advancement of science or medicine? You would answer, I believe it's ethical to use animals for the advancement of science and medicine for the following 3 reasons, 1, 2, 3. Or you'll say, I believe it's unethical to use animals for advancement of science and medicine for the following 3 reasons, 1, 2, 3. I don't care what side you take. I'm not looking for you guys to confirm any bias that I have in positions that I hold. And ethics, that's not really about that. It's about taking a position and being convincing with your argument and, like making it that, like I said, that argument that's hard for me to reasonably reject. We'll talk a bit more about that as we go. It's not about necessarily being right or wrong. Sometimes in ethics, we can both be right and we can both be on different sides. And the idea isn't necessarily to make somebody fold and agree with you. It's just to make a decision and be able to defend it ethically. Okay. So there's no particular positions I'm looking for. You take whichever you believe and whichever you can defend through research. Now, what you're going to do, I believe this will be due next Monday. So you got a week to do it. You're going to open a Word document. You're going to copy this thing or whatever, however you want to do it. And you're going to rank them 1 through 9. 1 being the one you're most excited to do and 9 being the one you're least excited to do. I want to have an even spread, so there's not going to be any more than 6 students per topic, and that's a lot because, like I said, this is kind of two sections merged into one. So we'll have 60 students to start out. We don't know how many will be here in the end, but by the time we get to the final, I'm going to split that Dropbox into 2 boards, and that way we can split up the class. It's not 60 people going free for all, and then I can kind of split 3 on one and 3 on the other for who has the topics. Because on your replies on that, you're going to do 2 replies. You're going to do one with somebody who has the same topic as you and one who has a different topic than you. So splitting it up will help us get around. But you're going to put that in, and then it's like a first come, first serve. So as they come in, I'll start making a list of who has what topic. And when it's due Monday night, if you've not selected a topic, I will select one for you. I'll fill you in, and then I'll send that list out to everybody. So if you really want to make sure you get a topic you want, please get this in on time. Otherwise, you're stuck with the one I put you on. And I think it's better to make an argument when you care about the thing you're arguing for versus it was assigned to you. Okay. And then when you get to that, you're at the end of module 1, and then it'll pop to module 2 where we start next week. Okay, so what you need to do this week is just go through and get your book set up, go through the Begin Here module, and then go through module 1. So to recap what you're going to have this week, you're going to have the pre-survey of ethical issues. You're going to have the course scavenger hunt quiz. You're going to have the chapters 1 and 2 quiz, and then the Dropbox assignment, the discussion board assignment. I know that sounds like a lot, but it's a bunch of little things. So if you stay up with it, it should be okay, and you should get off on a good pace. But to kind of put that in perspective for you, that is 130 points or so, because this the discussion is 50 points, and then we have 4 other 20-point assignments. So that's 8. Yeah. So it's 130 points this first week, which means 13% of your overall grade is right now in week 1. So it's imperative that you get started out on a good foot and don't start yourself in a hole. If you need any help, please, 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 always feel free to reach out and ask me. I'm here to help you. Email me, contact me, whatever we have to do, and I'll get you whatever information I can to make this a bit easier for you. For now, I'll say goodbye, good luck. I look forward to working with you guys this semester, and welcome to the course. See you.